going to read 4 poems. Some of them are not in the book. Sorry, Evan, I can't be responsible for how I felt a month ago when you asked me. This first poem is called Poem for Americans. Poem for Americans. When I go to the bank, California mild afternoon fills my frame, hollow with desire, to formally say, American brothers and sisters, let us look up from our screens. Toward my numbers I walk, a tragic precursor, condemned to an easy life, balanced on the suffering in another land of strangers I might someday speak to when I call to complain. Inside the low beige building, I tap my not really secret code, and the machine takes the paper into this very real legal fiction I will die without understanding. I pass an old man carrying a package and feel suddenly sure he is of something a great master. He looks like the dignified, slow-moving, born during the last great war people I passed that summer in Paris. I felt so important and proud to suffer. On the television, our president has just finished speaking. Soon it will be winter, and my childhood anxious home in Maryland, through its windows onto the street, will glow. I will go there and touch the banister I threw a small wooden turtle my sister loved over, then sleep in the room where I learned to be so angry. All night Norse gods and white polar foxes run out of the large green book I read every night, as if those stories faraway people told could put some order to mine. In the morning, I plunge my hand into the cigar box I threw all my quarters into. In my pocket, I put a heavy silver handful. You never know when you might see an expiring meter. The American lie is you and the man wearing the uniform can agree. Americans, when he comes to your door, ignore the faint bell. Your desire to pay what you owe touches many things. Like a husband blowing out some candles, battle it in the darkness. Poem for Happiness. The dead spider rested on my windowsill. Using one piece of paper, I pushed it onto another piece of paper, then dropped it accidentally behind some old paint cans next to the door. The orange tulips you gave me for a second seemed to be, in a mostly nice way, laughing as I bent down, wearing dishwashing gloves, a blue color not found in nature, in order to find the little brown body that was for primal reasons horrifying me, and stand in the doorway and hold it out in front of me to the wind, which even if everywhere else in the city it is calm, rushes down our street, where the yellow Kawasaki is always parked next to the green bin I threw the candles we can't light anymore into because their wicks are gone, and you cried because I had thrown out the beautiful candles. The sun turns in a different direction. Everything becomes suddenly chrome. And now I am thinking on a hillside where the wind is blowing very strongly, we will get married. Our future along Sunny Avenue, we have already walked partway down, or a pink umbrella, or a very loud water feature in the middle of the city. Around it, on a concrete ledge, the workers sit next to each other, even though they do not know each other, and read silently together and alone. Okay, these last 2 poems are in the book. It's very solemn. This poem is called Poem for Lu Chi. Lu Chi was a Chinese poet, 3rd century Chinese poet, who wrote a treatise about writing that is, everything he says is actually totally true, turns out. Poem for Lu Qi. All day it is wanted to rain, a constant breeze from the north, where shadows live in ancient government, among the huge old trees, carries a little scent of wood into the city. It ruffles some waxy green leaves outside my window in this office building. The window is very solid. My hair is completely still. Lu Qi, in the 3rd century, you wrote your treatise to discover the difference between good and bad writing. But you already knew the leaves fall in autumn, and each artist has a particular way to magic and sadness. I know my beloved is very close. She works down the street in a modern building made of orange neon and steel. I don't have to dream of her. She is very far away from heaven. There are no actual mountains between us. Soon we will have lunch together. Then maybe I will write a letter and drop it into a blue box. Some rivers go underground. I know one here in the city beneath the armory flows. Many times I have walked above it and felt a peace I am happy I will never be able to explain. This last poem is called Poem for Jack Spicer, who was an American poet who lived in San Francisco, and he lived in North Beach, where I used to live, and he used to hang out in the aquatic park and listen to baseball games and get drunk, which ultimately was a bad life strategy for him, but I'm sure it was fun at the time. Thank you for listening. Poem for Jack Spicer. It's the start of baseball season, and I'm thinking again, as I do every year in early April, now that I live in California, where afternoon is a blue span to languidly cross, of those long ones you used to sort of sleep through, getting drunk on many beers, lying next to your radio on a little square of grass in the sun, listening half to the game and half to the Pacific water, gently slapping the concrete barrier of the man-made cove. I have heard it, and it sounds like conversations among not their people I can't quite hear, but you could. And later, you would try to remember what they said and transcribe it on your black typewriter in your sad, horrible room. When I read your poems about suicide and psychoanalysis, I feel very lucky and ashamed to be alive at all. Everyone has been talking lately about radiation, iodine, and wind, and you are in your grave, far from the water. I know I don't care about you at all, but when I look at your photograph, your round head tilted up, so you are staring down at everyone, I remember how much you hated your body. Today I will go down by the water where you used to sit and think I do not hate my body, even though I often do. When I die, please write "He tried" on whatever stone you choose.